When are you gonna come down? When are you...
In 2014, the global internet landscape was unexpectedly interrupted by the haunting voice of a 7-year-old girl from Norway. Her name? Angelina Jordan. While most talent show hopefuls fade into the noise, Angelina's appearance on Norway's Got Talent was a seismic moment that reverberated across continents. Dressed in a simple white dress and flashing a shy smile that belied her years, Angelina stepped onto the stage and chose a song no one expected, Gloomy Sunday, a melancholic classic made famous by Billie Holiday. It was a bold, almost eerie choice for someone so young. But as the first few notes left her lips, the atmosphere in the auditorium transformed. Her voice, mature, textured, and filled with aching soul, left the judges visibly stunned and the audience breathless. For those watching at home, her performance didn't just go viral, it became a moment frozen in time. Media outlets around the world scrambled to feature this pint-sized prodigy whose sound belonged in smoky jazz clubs, not grade school playgrounds. Millions of views poured in across platforms like YouTube and Facebook, and celebrities began sharing the clip with disbelief. People questioned how such emotional depth could come from someone barely old enough to read the lyrics she sang. Overnight, Angelina Jordan wasn't just a contestant. She became an international sensation, and her performance was immortalized as one of the most iconic debuts in talent show history. Amid the awe and applause that followed Angelina Jordan's viral performance, one peculiar yet powerful detail stood out and ignited a wave of curiosity worldwide. She performed completely barefoot. No shoes, no socks, just bare feet planted firmly on the stage. For many viewers, it seemed like an innocent quirk or perhaps a creative choice. But the truth behind this decision would later prove far more poignant than anyone imagined. In an interview shortly after her rise to fame, Angelina revealed a touching story that traced back to a life-changing moment from her early childhood. She recalled meeting a homeless girl while traveling abroad, someone her own age, but living in unimaginable conditions without even a pair of shoes to protect her feet. Deeply affected by the encounter, Angelina made a silent promise that day to always perform barefoot in honor of that child and in solidarity with the millions of impoverished children around the world who live without the most basic of necessities. That quiet vow would become a lifelong mission, turning every performance into more than a showcase of talent. It became an act of empathy. Audiences quickly realized that Angelina wasn't just a prodigy with a remarkable voice. She was a young girl carrying a message, using her platform to raise awareness about global poverty in a way no press release ever could. Her bare feet became a visual signature, a living symbol of humility and compassion, and a reminder that sometimes the most powerful statements are made without saying a single word. In that moment, Angelina Jordan ceased to be just a viral sensation. She became a voice for the voiceless, a child with both talent and a cause. From the moment Angelina Jordan captivated Norway's Got Talent with her debut performance, the competition became less of a question of if and more of when. Week after week, she delivered breathtaking renditions of jazz and blues classics, defying expectations at every turn. Unlike many contestants who stumble or plateau under pressure, Angelina's presence only grew stronger, her voice more commanding, and her interpretations even richer with each stage appearance. She didn't chase trends or mimic the current pop sound. Instead, she resurrected timeless standards and gave them new life through her childlike sincerity and vintage soul. Judges often found themselves stunned into silence, then leaping to their feet in ovation. Her emotional intelligence on stage, her ability to interpret heartbreak, longing, and joy with such nuance, was beyond what even seasoned adult performers could summon. It was during the grand finale that Angelina solidified her legacy in the competition. Choosing the jazz standard What a Difference a Day Makes, she delivered a performance that felt less like a talent show entry and more like a moment of history being made. Every note was a revelation, every pause deliberate and soulful. The audience held its breath as the final note echoed through the auditorium, then exploded into thunderous applause. The judges, visibly emotional, struggled to find words worthy of her, and the public responded just as passionately, with overwhelming votes that secured her victory. At just 8 years old, Angelina Jordan became the winner of Norway's Got Talent 2014. But her triumph wasn't just about talent. It was about heart, discipline, and an otherworldly ability to connect. Her win marked a defining moment in television history, not simply because a child had won, but because the world had witnessed the birth of a timeless artist. Winning Norway's Got Talent might have been the final curtain call for some, but for Angelina Jordan, it was just the overture to a far more expansive musical journey. Rather than fade into the background as so many child stars do, Angelina began carefully crafting a career that reflected her artistic integrity and long-term vision. By 2017, she had already recorded and released a 6-song EP titled simply Angelina Jordan, signaling the start of her evolution from television talent show winner to independent recording artist. Each song was chosen not to appeal to a mainstream demographic, but to showcase the depth of her vocal abilities and her growing emotional range. Her covers of I Put a Spell on You by Screamin' Jay Hawkins and Back to Black by Amy Winehouse stood out immediately, not only because of her haunting interpretation, but also because of the millions of views they attracted on her YouTube channel. These weren't just nostalgic revivals. They were soulful reinventions that introduced a new generation to musical legends through the voice of a teenage Norwegian girl. Her music videos, particularly I Put a Spell on You, were crafted with cinematic attention to detail, thanks in part to director Per Heimly, who helped present Angelina not just as a singer, but as a visual artist. Around this time, Angelina also expanded her digital footprint by launching a second YouTube channel dedicated specifically to stripped-down, emotionally raw cover performances. This strategic move allowed her to maintain a strong connection with her growing international fanbase, proving that she wasn't relying on fleeting fame, but on consistency and authenticity. While many former child talents were chasing radio hits or short-term virality, Angelina was quietly laying the groundwork for a career with longevity. No gimmicks, no reinventions, just soulful, timeless music, delivered with grace and sincerity far beyond her years. While most children her age were busy with homework and playground games, Angelina Jordan made yet another bold leap, this time not through a microphone, but through the written word. In 2015, just a year after captivating the world with her voice, Angelina surprised her audience by becoming a published author at only 10 years old. The book, titled Mellum to Jurder, which translates to Between Two Hearts, offered a poetic and deeply personal look into the formative experience that shaped her barefoot philosophy. Told through a child's perspective, but layered with adult-like emotional clarity. The book recounts Angelina's real-life encounter with a motherless, impoverished girl in the Middle East. That meeting left a profound mark on her young soul and ultimately inspired her decision to always perform without shoes, a gesture that by then had already become symbolic of her artistry. The story, gentle yet piercing, was illustrated by her own grandmother, Iranian painter and artist Mary Zamani, adding another layer of intimacy and authenticity to the project. This wasn't a celebrity vanity project or a publicity stunt. It was a genuine expression of empathy and a desire to connect with others beyond the stage. Through her storytelling, Angelina was able to communicate the same core message that ran through her music: compassion, dignity, and the importance of never forgetting those who are often overlooked. The book quickly became a beloved addition to her growing legacy, drawing praise from educators and parents alike who saw in Angelina not just a musical prodigy, but a beacon of kindness and social awareness. It was yet another testament to her multidimensional talent, proving that even at a young age, she wasn't interested in simply entertaining. She was on a mission to inspire. In publishing Mellum to Jurder, Angelina Jordan showed the world that her barefoot promise was not just a performance quirk. It was a lifelong vow, written not only in melody, but in ink. As her reputation grew beyond Scandinavia, Angelina Jordan began stepping onto bigger stages, both literally and figuratively, proving that her talent wasn't confined by geography. Her first notable leap into international territory came through appearances on global television programs like Little Big Shots, where she once again stunned audiences with her vocal maturity and magnetic stage presence. But it wasn't just variety shows that welcomed her. Angelina soon found herself collaborating with renowned artists and performing in prestigious venues, marking the beginning of her transformation from national treasure to global phenomenon. One such turning point was her live collaboration with internationally acclaimed DJ and producer Alan Walker during his heading home concert in Bergen, Norway. Singing Sing Me to Sleep and Faded, two of Walker's most recognizable tracks, Angelina added a haunting, emotional depth that gave the electronic hits a soulful twist. Her ability to adapt to different musical styles without losing her own identity was further proof of her versatility as an artist. In June 2018, she released her full-length album, It's Magic, in collaboration with the staff band of the Norwegian Armed Forces, an unexpected yet groundbreaking partnership that showcased her ability to blend classic jazz vocals with orchestral arrangements. The day after the album's release, Angelina and the band performed the entire set live in a special concert attended by high-profile guests, including Norway's Prime Minister, a moment that solidified her status as a cultural ambassador for her country. Perhaps one of the most iconic moments of that period came when she was invited to perform at Quincy Jones's 85th birthday celebration at the U Arena in London. There, she delivered a mesmerizing rendition of Fly Me to the Moon, a performance so polished and emotionally resonant it stood shoulder to shoulder with the legends who had graced the stage before her. She later joined a collective of artists to perform Man in the Mirror, delivering a powerful message of unity and reflection that felt all the more impactful coming from someone so young. These appearances weren't just career milestones, they were a declaration. Angelina Jordan was not simply a child prodigy from a viral clip. She was an emerging global artist, unafraid to share stages with icons, command orchestras, and adapt her unique voice to any setting. The world was no longer watching out of curiosity. They were watching because they believed in her artistry. In 2018, while most teenagers were adjusting to high school life, Angelina Jordan made a life-altering decision that would further propel her toward international superstardom. She left her home country of Norway and relocated to Los Angeles. The move wasn't just symbolic, it was strategic. Angelina knew that if she wanted to elevate her craft and tap into the heart of the global entertainment industry, she had to be where the opportunities were, and for music, that meant Hollywood. The transition wasn't merely about chasing fame. It was about immersion, surrounding herself with top producers, songwriters, mentors, and platforms that could help her evolve beyond the limitations of her child star beginnings. Settling in Los Angeles also allowed her to balance her rapidly growing music career with formal education. Unlike many child celebrities who forego schooling, Angelina made a priority, enrolling in a local school and pursuing her studies with the same discipline she brought to her music. The result was a rare duality, a rising star who could step off a concert stage and into a classroom without missing a beat. Her time in Los Angeles exposed her to a wealth of new influences, from neo-soul and contemporary R&B to the raw intimacy of indie music, and all of it found subtle ways into her evolving sound. More importantly, living in the entertainment capital opened doors to networking opportunities and exposure that simply didn't exist elsewhere. She began meeting other young talents, industry veterans, and decision-makers who recognized not only her vocal skill, but her artistic authenticity. Here, Angelina wasn't just that barefoot jazz singer from Norway. She was a fully realized artist preparing her next chapter. Her relocation also signaled a shift in public perception. No longer viewed solely as a child prodigy, she began being discussed in the same breath as other serious young artists reshaping the music scene. From studio sessions to intimate showcases, Angelina used her time in Los Angeles not just to be seen, but to evolve musically, emotionally, and personally. What began as a bold leap across continents soon became a brilliant career move. And with her feet now firmly planted in Hollywood, Angelina Jordan was ready to conquer the American music industry on her own terms. By 2019, Angelina Jordan had already captivated Europe, collaborated with global artists, and built a dedicated online fan base. But there was still one personal milestone she hadn't reached: performing in front of Simon Cowell, the man she'd long admired and called a legend. That childhood dream finally came true when she entered America's Got Talent, The Champions Season 2, a high-stakes competition featuring top talent from across the world. But this wasn't the same little girl from Norway's Got Talent. This was a poised, seasoned artist stepping onto a global stage with something to prove. For her debut performance, Angelina took one of the most iconic rock songs ever written, Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, and reimagined it as a haunting jazz ballad. It was a risky move, but one that immediately paid off. From the moment she sang the first line, the studio audience was spellbound. Her rendition stripped away the theatrics of the original and laid bare the emotional core of the song. With minimal instrumentation and maximum vulnerability, Angelina turned a rock anthem into a soulful confession. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Judge Heidi Klum, visibly moved, didn't hesitate. She reached for the golden buzzer. As the confetti rained down and the audience roared, Angelina stood motionless, quietly overwhelmed. That moment wasn't just a highlight, it was a global announcement. She had arrived on the American stage, and she wasn't going anywhere. The performance quickly went viral on YouTube, earning millions of views and sparking headlines around the world. Even Queen's official Twitter account acknowledged her interpretation, praising her for her courage and artistry. Despite fierce competition, Angelina advanced to the finals, where she continued to impress both judges and viewers. Though she didn't make it into the final top 5 acts, her impact lingered long after the show ended. More than a contestant, she was viewed as an innovator, an artist willing to take iconic material and completely reshape it into something fresh and deeply personal. She later released a studio version of Bohemian Rhapsody under her own copyright, giving fans a lasting piece of that groundbreaking moment. For Angelina, America's Got Talent, The Champions wasn't about winning a trophy. It was about validation on the world's biggest stage. And in that regard, she didn't just compete, she conquered. Angelina Jordan's next chapter would begin with the kind of move that signals an artist's transition from rising talent to serious contender, signing with a major record label. In August 2020, Angelina officially joined Republic Records, a powerhouse label home to some of the world's biggest stars. This wasn't just a business decision. It was a carefully calculated step toward artistic freedom, broader distribution, and global exposure. Her debut single under Republic, Million Miles, dropped on November 6, 2020, and immediately marked a new era for Angelina. Written in memory of her late grandfather, the song carried an emotional gravity that reflected her growth not only as a vocalist, but as a songwriter. Gone were the jazzy covers and retro stylings. Million Miles was original, raw, and deeply personal. Produced by the Norwegian duo Stargate, the track featured polished yet understated production that allowed her voice to remain the centerpiece. But what truly elevated the release was how Angelina chose to present it. One version of the music video featured her alone in a studio, stripped of glamour, pouring her heart into the microphone. Another featured intimate home footage with her younger sister, reinforcing the theme of family, love, and loss. This wasn't just a release, it was a statement. Angelina Jordan was no longer just the girl with the vintage soul. She was a modern artist crafting original work that resonated across generations. The song quickly garnered praise from critics and fans alike, praised for its lyrical honesty and understated brilliance. It also cemented her ability to handle mainstream material without compromising the emotional depth that made her famous in the first place. More importantly, the release proved that Angelina's move to Los Angeles and signing with Republic weren't about abandoning her roots. They were about building something even more expansive. With Republic's backing, she now had access to world-class producers, songwriters, and global promotional machinery. But what stood out most was her insistence on authenticity. Even with a major label behind her, she refused to conform to pop templates or industry pressures. Instead,